Hey, it's Faith Talk Live. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
Dan is on location there with Casey Cooper, Super Cooper, as I guess Dan's given him that name. He's a drummer extraordinaire. What would you call him, Dan? What would you call Cooper?
I'd call him a drummer extraordinaire slash social media influencer. Also is what I would call him. Yes.
And let us slide in there, rock star.
Rock star. Definitely.
I don't know about that.
If you watch his promotional video, which you can see it on the Facebook, give us that Facebook. Is it it's Cooper? What is it?
So if you want to find my stuff, it's Cooper Drummer with threes instead of E's. Cooper 3R Drummer 3R, that kind of thing.
See, I thought it was cool, and I wanted to bring that up. What gave you that idea? Did you just say I want to be different, or what? Did you have pizza one night and have a dream and say this is what it's going to look like, or what happened?
Well, first, I was a teenager at the time, so the old numbers instead of letters was really cool back then as well. I wouldn't say I'm stuck with it now. I do still choose to use it, but it's all about branding, especially in the online world. And for me, when I started out on YouTube, although it was the good old days when YouTube was still much smaller than it is now. It was still a very diverse environment, and it was, you had to do something to get out there. And for me, if you search for Cooper or Casey Cooper or drummer or any number of those terms, you're not going to find me because I was just starting out. And so it was if I want people to be able to find me and find all my specific content, I'll throw the 3 in there. And so if they search, they'll have something that's memorable. And if they search for me and they want to find just my stuff, they'll be able to use that, and it'll pull me up.
Yeah.
We want everybody to see that promotional video because that's a work of genius. And I don't know, I should know this, right? Because I'm in the business, but it looked to me like it was just one solid video, no editing, because it was, and by the way, when you watch it, Dan, I don't know if you've seen it, the drum set in the bathroom, I've got to have one of those.
Everybody needs a drum set in the bathroom to drive their wife crazy. Let's go back in time a little bit because, Rick, we always have to have a Texan on once a week at least. Casey is a Texan at heart. He's you've been here for a while now, but grew up in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex area, which is why he and I get along so well. And he's a Cowboys fan.
Look out.
Which is always a good thing as well. But then you moved to Atlanta. What got you into, first of all, drumming, and then second of all, doing the whole social media? Hey, I'm going to film myself or video myself doing it.
Okay, so I've been a drummer most of my life. I say I started around 6 years old. That's when I first found a pair of my dad's old drumsticks. Mm-hmm. This is where everybody always gets it wrong because then they go off and they say like news articles and stuff will be like, oh, well, Casey's dad taught him everything that he knows. And as much as my dad is the main influence in music for me, my dad was never really a drummer. He just kind of tried it and he had some drumsticks laying around. And so I picked those up and kind of like my parents could tell that I had some rhythm in me or something, know. And from then on, I played in bands, and really importantly, I played in middle school band, I played in high school band, I played in college band, and those things kind of like helped to craft who I am as a musician, who I am as a drummer. And the reason that I moved to social media is I was playing in a bunch of different bands, and as a kid, everybody's dream is I'm going to be a rock star one day. I'm going to go out and tour, and I'm going to ride on tour buses. And
one of these days, I'm still going to be a rock star. I haven't made it yet.
Well. Not to say that I really experienced a high level of touring, but I have done a lot of travel shows, and it's really not as enjoyable as you think. In fact, many of the guys that are out on the road come to me and say, man, I really wish I could do what you're doing because you're with your family and you're doing what you love. And that's a little bit of a skip forward there, but I was playing in a bunch of different bands and played with a bunch of very talented musicians and bands that I would say were good. I mean, people came to the shows and they walked away saying they liked what we played, but it wasn't ever a situation where man, we have everything we need to become professionals or make a living doing this. And I wanted that, I wanted to make a living doing it. It was my ultimate goal. And I really believe that God put drumming in my life, and that was where I was supposed to go. And so I was told after pretty much most shows, you're a lot of fun to watch. And that just kept ringing and resonating with me. Like, you're a lot of fun to watch because I'm like crazy arms everywhere, throwing sticks in the air and just stuff you don't have to do as a drummer, but stuff that it's showmanship, you know, and like
Mhm.
you know, some people don't like it, some people love it, and the internet loved it, you know, and that was me thinking like, well, YouTube is all about watching someone do something. If I'm fun to watch, then maybe they'll enjoy watching me.
Yep.
And so that's how it really all got started. I mean, I didn't know that it would do what it did and blow up, but I worked really hard for it.
And I'll interject. I saw that Casey also marched with a drum set in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade one year.
Yeah.
Wow.
March with a drum set. Tell us how that worked.
Well, I was officially the first person, and at this time, I think the only person to march in a marching band with a drum set, and that was quite an experience. I played with Georgia State University's bands, and so I played with their basketball band, I played with their marching band, and we actually like built the program. It was the first year they had it because the first year they had a football team,
Right.
and so we started out with nothing, and by the time that I was a senior or double senior or whatever, by the time I was leaving the school,
by the time they kicked you out.
yeah, exactly. They were like, you're getting pretty old, and we got other drummers who might want to play. But we were able to do the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, and I actually did all the video editing for our promo videos that we used to submit, and got us the opportunities, which was cool to be able to be a part of that as well.
That's awesome.
All the different skills compounding and paying off in different ways. But we were going to do the parade, and my director, Dr. Phillips, he was like, you know what, I feel like you deserve to get to play a drum set, because that's what you do. That's your thing.
Yeah.
And, we knew that the online world would enjoy it. And so my little float that we used at basketball games, where they would be able to, well, actually we built the float and then used it at basketball games. It's been a while. It's been like 5 years. But we built a float that would be able to be pushed through the parade, and we'd be able to have the rock band. We had our amps on there. We had the drum set on there. And so we did it. We made it happen, and
That's
it was
awesome.
It was insanity. Waking up at 2 a.m. to all the tires on the thing being flat, and like having to find inverters to fill the tires, and like, I mean, you already have to be up at like 3 or 4 for the parade, and for me, I had to be up even earlier, and it was a crazy experience. Very fun.
Wow, but it worked out. That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
Talking with Casey Cooper, drummer extraordinaire. We're going to see. Actually, we're going to hear him in just a few, and we're going to see some parts of the studio. It's a great studio. As I mentioned earlier, there's a promotional video, and he goes through room by room, which is really cool. It looks like a large place when you're going through. I mean, there are so many rooms, which we can get into that a little bit later. Let me touch on the Thanksgiving Day. Your mom and dad, were they there? Did they watch you? Did they watch you on TV? And what did they do? I mean, I'd be taking pictures and saying, "Hey, that's my boy. That's my boy." What did they do?
Right next to Al Roker. That's him right there.
Okay. So we played right after or right before Kiss, and
wow,
Kiss's drummer Eric Singer is a Pearl artist like myself, and he went by, and I had one of the very first Crystal Beats, which is that light up drum set you were talking about earlier. And I got to, like, that was kind of the launch of the Crystal Beat, was partially at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. And he drove by and he saw my kit and he said, like, "Cool kit," and like did this and like stuck out his tongue or whatever. And a couple weeks later he had one of them. So I was like, all right, yeah.
You had one before him.
But so I mean, my mom and dad watched from home, and my wife, I had just met her a couple weeks before, and so she was at home with her family watching on Thanksgiving, and didn't realize that she was watching her husband in the Thanksgiving.
Wow.
Day.
Wow.
But,
that might have been part of the closing deal right there. You on the television. She's like, "Hey, I
need to lock this guy down."
I wish it was much more difficult than that, but it's funny. One of the reasons I do love her so much is because she treats me as a normal individual, and she actually doesn't really think all the fame stuff is like that cool to her. She's like, well,
she knows the real you.
If you were in movies or something, like, that'd be cool, but you're just like this funny YouTube guy that, like, he's kind of a nerd,
That's funny.
And
funny. She's quite the talented musician herself.
Yeah,
quite the singer. Comes from a singing family, so they got music in the blood here.
Oh yeah.
That's so cool. We're talking with Casey Cooper, and again, go to Facebook. Where else can they follow you and look at your stuff, Casey? We want to get people to follow you, and who knows, one day stop by the studio. I don't know. Are you letting strangers come through? I know, obviously, I'm not there with you, so that was probably on purpose. Are you letting strangers come in and watch, or what?
So I mean, I do book the studio for public stuff sometimes. It's more so a private production studio that I use for myself and some of my other projects. And then I do book it out for some sessions. And I do like tours occasionally, or lessons, or like just hang sessions. Yeah, it's just it's a place to do a lot. But since it is my personal home in my basement, I do, I'm a little more careful with, just everybody. I don't have an open door that they can just come in and hang out or anything. You have to book it or sign up, or let me know. And as far as where you can find me on YouTube, and you can find me on Instagram. Those are the two places that I would most recommend. On Instagram, I'm always posting stuff about my family. I have a beautiful wife and 2 wonderful babies, 2 kids. And so I'm always posting about my personal life and what I'm doing drumming wise, and then on YouTube as well. That's where I'll
Next time you do a show there, I'd love to be right there in the studio. We could all be in the same studio.
That'd be awesome.
It looks really cool.
By the way, Rick, his son Cadence, how old is Cadence? 4?
4, yeah.
4. His son Cadence is getting into the drumming business. If you watch some of the recent videos, he's on there playing on a new snare you got, right?
Yes, yeah.
That's awesome.
He has a lot of fun jamming on the drums, and my daughter actually almost seems to pick it up more than he does, because anytime, like, she noticed that I like to play drums on my chest, and now she always comes up to me and she just like. And then she'll like walk up to me and start playing drums on my chest.
That's awesome.
Like, I mean, it's the cutest thing.
Well, yours sounds more like a bass than hers. I mean, hers is kind of
It is in the blood, right? I mean, I was just an old garage band drummer. I mean, just a hack. And my son just, I would play every now and then with the worship band if they needed, if the janitor couldn't play, they were down to the janitor, then they would let me play. And for whatever reason, God thing, he got inspired. And the same thing with you. And then now my youngest, who is 18, he's the same. And when, people ask, does it drive you crazy when they play? Because, it's loud, right?
Yeah.
And I say, no, you know what it is? It's music to my ears, because I love hearing it. I love the picture shaking on the walls. It's like an earthquake. So, but anyway, I did want to ask you about inspiration. You talked a little bit about your dad with the drumsticks, and you said you flail a bit. Sounds like, now this is way before your time. There was a guy named Keith Moon who used to play in The Who, yes. And he was just energy. I mean, he was unbelievable. Who inspired you growing up? Did you have one? Did you have many? How about the professor on the drum kit, Neil Peart? Who inspired you?
Little tip of my hat to Mr. Peart.
Mr. Peart. Yeah.
I mean, so I could talk about this for 6 hours, but so the reason my dad is a big inspiration is he has thousands of CDs that he's collected over his lifetime. And when I was a kid, I would listen in the car. We'd listen to Led Zeppelin, and we'd listen to Rush, and we'd listen to Soundgarden, and we'd listen to AC/DC. So like, I grew up listening to all of the classic music with so many of the best drummers, and the guys that really inspire me off the top of my head, John Bonham. I hate that I'll never ever get to see him play live. Of course, Neil Peart. I got to see him play live, and there's nothing more impressive than a dude who's like, he had to have been 60 something or close to 70 at the time when I saw him play a show that is that intense and that long. And like, I only noticed him miss one note the entire show.
Wow.
And the only reason I noticed is because I was paying attention to make sure that if he did mess up, I noticed it to see if he was human or not. I was starting to wonder if maybe they replaced him with a robot. And then I love Dave Grohl. I think Dave Grohl just all around is one of my favorite musicians in general, just because of the fact that like, he plays all the instruments, but he understands that it's not about how many notes that you play. It's about how you play those notes. And it's about just like, for me, that's the kind of drummer I want to be. I used to think I wanted to be a Neil Peart. And then I realized that first off, I don't know if I'll ever be at that level, no matter how much I practice. But secondly, I just really enjoy just playing the drums for the fun of it, and not a lot of like thinking, super technically the whole time that I'm playing. And when you're playing those really, really technical drum parts, until you get to a level like Neil Peart, you're having to think the entire time, like, let me do this, let me do that. I mean, I feel like he was doing stuff on the ride cymbal just for fun. Like, you didn't even hear it. He just did it. He was bored. You
What
know,
a jerk.
so he's incredible. And then like Phil Collins, I love that. I'm hoping that my son and daughter can sing and play drums, because my wife is a singer, as we mentioned. And if they can sing and play drums, I'm just hoping maybe I got a couple Phil Collins on my hands here.
Yes.
That is so cool.
And Phil Collins, who hasn't done the In the Air Tonight drum fill on their steering wheel while they're driving, right?
I had a mega kit set up the other day that had toms that went down both sides.
Yeah.
So like 8, 10, 10, 12, 12, 13, 13, 14, 14, et cetera, et cetera. And so I did it with both hands.
Oh, yeah.
And the 16s were so far behind me that I almost fell backwards trying it.
That's
it was fun.
Casey Cooper, we're talking with him. Dan, right there in his studio. Again, you can check out the promotional video and all the stuff that he does.
Let's have him play a little bit. How's that sound?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. We're going to throw him in the studio, and while he runs in there, I'm going to scoot over. And what we're going to do is the way Casey's got it set up in here is he's got a big video monitor where when you're in the audio booth here, you can watch what's going on the monitor right there.
There you go.
See what's going on. Let's see. Does that work? How's that work?
Adjust to the brightness or not. But maybe once I sit down in there, it'll see my face.
All right, so we'll watch him go in there, and you can.
Somebody will have to like signal that you want me to stop playing.
Okay. All right, so he's gonna head in there and just do a little stuff for us. Hopefully, you'll be able to hear it. Okay, we've got the sound set up thanks to our incredibly. How many different words can I use for Grayson? Because Grayson is like one of the coolest and most awesome people I know. He is the sound guy over here. I don't know if you can see the back of his head. There he is. There he is. That's Grayson Barton. He's a great guy with Starscream Studios. Check them out as well. All right, Casey, I don't know if you can hear me or not, but if you're ready, Casey, whenever you're ready.
Wow.
There you go. Wow. That was having fun right there, don't you think?
That definitely looked like that he was having fun. Casey Cooper, Dan there live in the studio. Did you get
jamming out? Hopefully I didn't jam out too much and make you seasick while I was holding the computer there, but
that was fun. I didn't really know how long you wanted me to play, so I just did a little bit of something.
That was perfect. See, and I wish I could just sit down on a drum set and say, let me just play a little this and a little that, but it wouldn't sound like that for sure.
Now, Casey, you're an amazing drummer, and I know that you're a technical drummer, and you also talked about feeling. Are there times that you just say, I don't have anything planned, I'm just going to roll with it, and no doubt that's energizing and refreshing. Do you ever get anything out of that? You're like, wow, I've never done that before. Maybe I should add that to this or teach that to a student. How does that work for you?
Yes. I mean, a lot of my inspiration comes from music. So a large portion of what I've done on my channel is I take popular songs that people have, requested, or that I just see that are popular on iTunes. And the idea is I sit down and I play something like the original part, but then I take it and I kind of go from there and add my own stuff to it. And a lot of times when I'm doing that and I'm improvising, I come up with ideas that I've never tried before that I really, really enjoy. And so I take that. One of the things, I played a cover of a Maroon 5 song, and I came up with this groove. And it was one of the coolest grooves that I think I came up with for a cover before. And every time I sit down at a kid, I always want to play it. And so I had a challenge called the Sweet Beat Challenge on my channel. I worked with the music instrument retailer Sweetwater, and we had prizes, and people were able to submit themselves playing that groove. I had a lesson on how to play the groove, so it didn't matter if you were really great already or if you were learning. You should be able to pick it up and play it. And it was really cool to see people from all over the world submit their videos and play along to that.
That's got to be awesome to say.
Yeah.
Throw out, hey, here's a challenge for you, and then all these people are like, yeah, I'll take that on. And I mean, not only do you see that you're getting interaction on your channel, but it's just fun to throw different challenges out there, especially in the time of COVID when people are just sitting down in their studio, or not in their studios, but in their houses, not having much to do anyway. So
for sure. And like one of the things that I did was I told people, I was like, play the groove, but then I want you to show me something unique with it. Mm-hmm. So then they each took it and they took their own spin on it. And it was really fantastic to just see, you know, all these really talented people, many of them I would consider to be much more talented than myself, come out and play on this beat and make it even cooler than it was before.
Yeah. Just got to say thank you as a parent and also just as a parent of a drummer for doing what you do, because Joshua found you and he showed you to me. He's like, oh, check out this guy. He does all these cool things on the drums. And so he's been watching you for a while. But to have a great influence like that, who's also chasing after the Lord and trying to use the gifts that God gave you for his glory. Thank you for what you're doing.
Yeah.
Just talk about how important that is to you. I mean, obviously God has gifted you in an incredible way in drums. And I mean, you may not go out and preach the word to billions of people, but you're doing it just by how you handle yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, my goal with what I do is to be a light. You know, I don't, on my YouTube channel, I don't push my faith on people, because a lot of times that pushes them away. And now I 100% agree there are times where, you know, you need to tell people even out of the blue about the Lord. But in my channel, my goal is to get them in because of the drums, get them in because of the music, get them in because of their interest in what it is that I'm doing. And then I post videos of me playing at church. I post videos of me, just talking about who I am and what it is that I do. And hopefully the goal is, if they get to know me, they know the one thing in my life that is different than a lot of the other people that they watch on YouTube, or a lot of the other people that they follow, is that I am a Christian and I love the Lord, and I believe that he sets my path. You know, he's touched my life in just so many incredible ways. Like I said, I used to think that I wanted to be a rock star, and not to say that God doesn't want me to be a rock star, but like, he had a different path for me than what I originally planned. And because I chose to go down that path and say yes, instead of holding on to that, like, man, I'm going to play for a band and that's going to be my thing, and I'm not going to get married, and I'm not going to have kids, and I'm going to, tour the world and, make millions of dollars. And that's like my goal. Like, because I didn't hold on to that and pursue that, I pursued what he had for my life, which was a wonderful woman who I like, she inspires me and teaches me something new every day that has helped me to grow as a person. I would not be who I am today if not for my wife. And the same thing with my kids. Like, you never, I don't think you can appreciate God's love for you as much as when you have children. Once you have a child and you start to realize how it is that God loves you, like, it doesn't matter what you do, he still loves you. And for me, like, just every step of my path now, it's like, what is it that God has for me? In fact, like, I've really been, struggling and dealing with where it is that I'm going from here. Like, I've done a lot on the internet. I've done, I start to do stuff in my studio now. Like, where is it that God is taking me? What is the next step? And so that's a lot of what I've been praying about lately. And it's incredible to see how he opens doors and he guides my steps, and I don't believe I'd be sitting here today if not for him. Like, this was not all my hands. Like, even building this studio, like, I always say this studio was my art, because I don't make the money that I should make to build a place like this. I don't have the time or the abilities. I didn't know how to do any construction. Like, all of those things, God just touched my hands and provided the opportunities, the companies that sponsored this place to make this happen, because so many people were like, no, there's no way that you don't need to build a studio like that. Just build like a little drum room or something and like keep shooting your videos the way that you do. And yet I had this vision of this exact place, and it came to fruition, even though I didn't know how to do anything. And yet I did almost all of the construction on this place. And that's because God, I believe, had this in his plans for me. And the relationships that I built with the companies and the people, and I mean, all of that is going directly into the future. And I wouldn't be here, if not for the Lord. And the same thing with like provision. Like, people watch my YouTube channel and they think like, oh, he's surrounded by nice gear and he's a YouTuber, so he's probably, rolling around and
he's loaded.
Oh yeah. And like, and this is not like me, like, complaining or anything, because it's not like money does not buy happiness. My family and getting to do what I love and play drums at church on Sunday and worship the God that I love. That is why I'm happy, because I have my priorities straight. But this, like, I don't roll around in money at all. In fact, like, God provides what I need. And it's so amazing to be in a position as an independent contractor. It has been for the past 5 years of my life as a family man, to have to depend on him, to know that like next month's checks are not guaranteed. And it has taught me so much. I'm not saying that I'll always be an independent contractor, because at some point some health benefits and salary might, you
don't need health benefits.
Put a little less gray hair on my head. But like it's been a journey growing in him and growing in my faith that he's going to provide and he's going to take care of my family and I. And so many times I'll be like, well, don't really know how we're going to pay the bills next month. And I say, God, you're gonna take care of it. And an hour later, an email pops up and it's like, hey, would you like to record this video? And we can pay you this. And I'm like, literally an hour later, like I can't even tell you how many times that happened, or how many times building this studio that the cash magically showed up from one location or another in ways that I never could have even fathomed it.
Yeah. Next time we get together, we're gonna have to have him tell the story of how the insulation for this place came about and how that all happened. A truck full of insulation. So it's a very cool story.
Real quick, Casey Cooper, check out his YouTube and Facebook. And what an amazing story. What an amazing man. Appreciate you being obedient. And how inspiring is it for you to step out in faith, for us to watch you, some of it struggling, right? Sometimes you have to wrestle with fear and doubt, but it looks like that God's hand's all over you and in what you're doing. You mentioned, and I know we got to go to a break in a second, but you mentioned playing in a church band. Where do you play? Do you play in LifeBridge? Is that how you and Dan met each other? Or?
No, he's in the Canton Woodstock area. Tell him about the church.
So I live in Holly Springs, and my church is in Woodstock. It's just a small church called Thrive Chapel. Pastor Sean Jazik, and it's right down the street from First Baptist Woodstock. So the big old church over there. We're a little bit before that, across from a U-Haul dealership, and the small church community. Like, I've been in many big churches. I've played drums for many big churches and conferences, and it's awesome. But God, I believe, was calling me to a much smaller community for my wife and I to really grow and to meet people and to just hone in on him. And it's been really a blessing to be there. And just another example of, like, it might not have been the obvious choice when there's other churches that were interested in me playing drums there and being a part of them. But for me, I really wanted to go where God wanted me. And I truly believe that I've been blessed more by being where God wanted me than being where I originally, like, selfishly wanted to go to play on the big stage or, like things like that. Like, God has a place for all of us. And for me, Thrive Chapel has been so huge in my life.
Wow. Such talent, smart guy, and humility there and maturity. It's amazing. I know you're 28. You talk like you're 48.
Well, sometimes I feel like I've lived a good 20 years in the past 5 years, going from single to married to baby on night one of after the wedding. We made our baby night one, so it was like, well,
didn't wait around at all.
Yeah.
That's
a drummer for you right there.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Go on, get on it. All right. Give us the website and YouTube and how folks can follow you.
All right, so all of them, if you just search Cooper Drummer, COOP3R, DRUMM3R. If you search that on
sounds
YouTube,
like a Star Wars thing.
Yeah.
P3R.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm a droid. I'm definitely a Star Wars fan. But yeah, if you search that on Instagram, you search that on Facebook, you search that on YouTube, search that on Twitter, you'll find me. I don't really use Twitter, Facebook all that much. Instagram, YouTube is the place to follow me for sure. And I'm just hoping that I can be a positive light and make you dance a little bit and jump around while I play some drums.
Yeah, over 2 million followers on YouTube, so let's make it 3 million. Okay.
Wow.
Let's get it up there.
Hey, before we go, is your rock star son Joshua there? The rock star drummer there, is he still there?
He's still, yeah. He's kind of behind the camera over here. You want him to come on camera?
Yeah, let's see his face, because we want those. This is the next Neil Peart right here.
Oh yeah,
there you are.
This guy came over and played drums with me, and I was just sitting there like, dude, I should probably just go in the other room and let you do the drumming right now. That's
awesome. Thank you so much, Casey. We appreciate you, and we want to catch up with you again. God's blessings to you, your of course, your job, your business, and your amazing family. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
This is Faith Talk Live.